Yo, so we have got 7 fights on the prelims today, people. And yeah, they're fun fights. A lot of fun fights, right? Everything starts off with a catch weight bout. Right? We have Jackson McKee against Zachary Reese. And it's a catchweight fight, not because someone missed weight. No, it was because McVee's original opponent fell off the card, right? So Zachary stepped in on, oh gosh, I think it's like 2 days notice, right? So yeah, no, when it's a situation like that, things get a little tricky, right? So instead of trying to make him cut a crazy amount of weight, they made it a catch weight bout, okay? So let's take a look, right? Zachary Savage Reese. He is 31, 6'4", 77-inch reach, right? He's got a 9-2 overall record with 1 no contest, and he's coming in off of a win. Okay, he is 3-2 with 1 no contest in the UFC, and he came via the Contender Series. Right, he won his contract after getting a first round armbar of Eli Aronov, and that was August 2023. Right, so he made his debut on December, right, that same year, and he lost to Cody Brundage, right? But that was the card. Right? There were 2 slam knockouts on the back to back on the same night, but back to back, and he was winning against Brundage, but I think he was going for some sub. I forget what exactly, but Brundage just picked him up and slammed him instead of releasing it. Right, he stuck to his guns and got sparks. But he bounced back, right? And he beat Julian Marquez, right? Cuban Missile Problem in his next fight, which was June 2024, right? And after that, he beat Jose Medina. That was via decision. He lost to Azamat Bekov in January this year. It was a first round stoppage. Bounced back with a decision over Duskus Trudovic. That was in May. And then in September, right, he had a fight with Cedric Dumas, but a low blow early in the first round meant that Dumas couldn't continue, and it was ruled a no contest. So yeah, he wants to end the year with a win, right? And that's this upcoming bout with Jackson McVee. And he's got knockout finishes. He does have a few subs, right? Does like an arm, but he has got other subs as well: triangles, rear naked chokes, guillotines. So he does know a thing or two about a submission, right? I don't think he's of the same level when it comes to jiu-jitsu as some, right? But he's kind of well-rounded, is Mr. Reese, right? Now, he in there against Jackson McVeigh. So let's take a look at that. Everything is running so slow today. It is kind of bonkers, people. Man, just internet connections are terrible. But okay, what has gone down? Jesus Christ. Okay, we are. I will just have to repopulate that. But it is what it is, people. You know what I mean? Do not worry. We will have these prelims hopefully wrapped up soonish. But damn, the stupid internet is being a problem. Boy. Okay. Let us. What do we need to do? Alright. So, yeah. Got things up and running again. So, Jackson Mouse McVeigh. Yeah, bit of an odd one. Though more deep, right? It was named after the little mouse. So, maybe he's a god emperor. Who knows? Anyway, people. You're just like, stop quoting June and get on with the fight prediction. You know what I mean? Obviously, people, that's what we will do. Again, slow fucking internet. But yes, McVeigh is 6-1 overall. Right, he is coming in off of a loss, right, which was his UFC debut. He went 4-0 in LFA, right? So, yeah, he made his debut against Bruno Ferreira. And he got caught with an armbar in the first round, right? So that was July this year. So, yes. Meant to be fighting Robert Valentin, but Valentin had to cancel, unfortunately. And that's why Zachary stepped in on short notice. But his last fight outside of the UFC was a first round stoppage against Matteo Garner in the LFA in June. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it was a quick-ish turnaround for his UFC debut, you know. But it is just the nature of things, right? So, like Reese, he does have a number of submissions, right? Guillotines, Braybo chokes, you know what I mean? Triangles, different things such as that. But although Reese isn't necessarily a multiple fight veteran, he does have more fights than McVeigh, right? So this will be an intriguing bout, right? Yeah, I think McVeigh, he has knocked people out, right? But I think it's fair to say that Reese at this point has had the higher quality of opponents, you know? So I think, wise heads go Zach Reese, but it's MMA. So anything could happen. Reese is coming in off the couch, right? So I imagine he might be looking for a quick finish. He might be thinking, the gas tank might not go the full 15, so let me get this done quick. But in that kind of situation, right, you're rushing things and you might walk onto something or leave yourself open to something. So yeah, there's many things could happen, but we're going Zach Reese for the win here. So we then go. We have Miles Johns against Daniel Marcos, right? Which just another really good fun fight. You know what I mean? Which yeah, I'm all about, people, right? I think a big thing about this card, really well put together fights, right? Which is just fantastic, and especially when, I imagine people might be looking at this card and thinking, oh, it's not overly spectacular, but we have got some veterans on this card, right? We've got up and comers. It is very interesting. There's a lot of intrigue with this one, right? So Daniel Soncora Marcos is, I believe, one day I'm going to have good internet. Boy, one day I might ask Father Christmas for that. But yeah, Jesus Christ, internet is terrible today, people. It really is friggin' terrible. But yeah, Marcos, he is 32, 5'7", 69-inch reach. Right, he's got an overall record of 17-1 with 1 no contest. He is coming in off of a loss. Okay, so he is 4-1 and 1 no contest in the UFC, and he came via the Contender Series. Right, he won his contract against Brendan Lewis. It was a unanimous decision on September 2022. Right, he then made his UFC debut January 2023. He stopped Simeon Oliveira with a knee in the second round. Right, then got a split decision over David Grant in July of 2023. Had a no contest against Arichi Lang in February 2024. Bounced back with a win over Castaneda in June 2024. That was a decision, right? And got a split decision over Adrian Yanez in December 2024. Right, so he's coming into this fight off of his sole fight in 2025, which was a loss to Montel Jackson. That was in May of this year. So, Chapo Miles Johns. He's 31, 5'7", 68-inch reach, right? 15-4 with one no contest. And Johns is coming in off of back-to-back losses. All right, so yeah, Johns does need a win, right? He might be fighting for his contract. You know, so he came via the Contender Series, which is another one that I forgot, right? I think you kind of forget how long the Contender's been going on for, you know? He is 6-4 with one no contest in the UFC, went 4-0 in LFA. Okay, so he won his contract in June 2019, right? It was a decision over Richie Santanago. He then made his debut September 2019, got a split decision over Cole Smith. Right, Mario Batista stopped him in his next fight, right? That was in February 2020. Bounced back, right, with a win over Ben Natadavid. That was October 2020. Stopped him in the third with a hellacious uppercut. He then, it was a little while before he came back. That was August 2021. And he knocked out Anderson Dos Santos in the third round, right? Lost to John Castaneda. Got caught with an arm triangle in the third, right? That was February 2022. But in November 2022, he got a decision over Vince Morales. You know, September 2023 was a no contest against Dan Arguera. But he then picked up wins over Kobe Gibson and Douglas Silva da Andrade in 2024, March and June, right? Both were unanimous decisions. But then he ran into Felipe Lima and Gene Matsumoto, right? So Lima was December 20, Matsumoto was August 2025. Right, so yes, he does need this win over Marcos, right? So, Johns is a tank, right? He comes forward, he does have some submissions, right? Guillotines. Funny enough, he did fight Adrian Yanez in LFA. He won the belt with the fight against Yanez. Right? So, it's interesting at times when you see people, fighting each other outside of the promotion. But they haven't crossed paths in the UFC yet. Right? He's got arm triangles, right? That's kind of it with the subs, right? He does have a few knockouts, but I think a lot of the time a Jones fight will go a decision. But it's, he does have good combinations, right? So he will march you down, which makes this an intriguing fight, right? It very much does. I mean, boy, both are really thing with this fight. Both are real tough, and it's kind of hard, right, when you're looking at this because, man, the Peruvian is tough as nails, right? John's is tough as nails. So where is this gonna go? I think there is definitely a lot of pressure on John's shoulders, right? Yeah, the fact that he is coming in on back-to-back losses. Now, yeah, Marcos, he's coming in off of a loss himself. So I think it's going to be one of those ones where they're both pushing it because they both need wins, which can lead to mistakes, which makes this even more intriguing. I think I'm going to go with Marcos for the win. Right? I just think there's probably going to be less pressure on his shoulders. And I think that's definitely a big thing when you're in there, you know? Fight. We were the strawweights, right? It is Pennington against Denise Gomez, right? Which, yeah, this is a good one, right? So Denise Gomez, right? She's 25, 5'2", 63-inch. And, yeah, she does like to scrap. Right? She has got an overall record of 11-3. She's on a 3-fight win streak right now. Ooh, right? Not bad at all. So yeah, on a 3-fight win streak. Her UFC record is 5 and Jesus Christ. This internet situation is really ridiculous. Yeah, okay. She's 5-2 in the UFC. Right, she went 1-0 in Invicta and got a contract via the Contender Series. Okay, so yes, her Contender Series fight was in August 2022. She beat Ryan dos Santos. Right, it was a decision. She then made her debut in April 2023. She got a second round stoppage over Bruna Brazila. You know? From then, she beat Yasmin Jergu. That was July 2023, first round stoppage. Did run into the savvy vet Angela Hill. Right? That was November 2023. From there, she beat Eduarda Moura, right? Split decision in June 2024. Got a win over Karolina Kovacevic, right? That was a unanimous decision, November 2024. She knocked out Elisa Reed in the second round, May this year. Got herself a Performance of the Night bonus. And that takes us to the Pennington fight, right? So, yeah, Gomez, right? She's knocked girls out, right? She's subbed girls. She does compete in grappling competitions when she isn't fighting, right? She does enjoy a little grappling. So, yeah, but you know, she does love to bang, right? So if she had a choice, submit you or knock you out, she's taking knockout all day, right? Now, she is stepping in there in the tiny tornado Tisha Pennington, who is 5'6", 5'1", sorry, 36, 5'1", 60.5-inch reach. She has got an overall record of 15-7. She's coming in off of 2 wins, right? So confidence is good, right? She's 11-7 in the UFC. Went 4-0 in Invicta. Last time out, she beat Luna Pinheiro. That was May this year. Got a unanimous decision. Got a unanimous decision over Carla Esparza. Right? That was October 2024. And those wins were off of a couple of losses, right? She lost to Mackenzie Dern, the current strawweight champion. And then she lost another split decision to Tabitha Ritchie in May 2024, right? So she had that gap where she gave birth to her and Raquel's daughter, I believe it is. Right? But she has fought everyone, you know, Angela Hill, Sam Hughes, right? Marina Rodriguez, Wiley Young, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Jessica Andrade, right? Karate Hottie, Michelle Waterstone, Rose Namajunas, Beck Rollins, right? She's been in there with everyone. She came up via The Ultimate Fighter, the first season with the ladies, right? And she lost to Carla Esparza, the champion of that season. You know, so there was no shame there, but she got to avenge that loss. Right? So it's an interesting one, right? Because she won some, right? Lost the first fight to Randa Marcos, but then got back into the competition, beat Beck Rawlings, and then lost to Cara Esparza. Now, in Invicta, she does have a win, right, over Paige Van Sant, and Rose Namajunas, right, along with Felice Herring. So, you know, has those good wins, but when it came to UFC, right, Rose was able to avenge that loss. So, yeah, I mean, but she's been there with everyone, right? Tisha, you know, married to the former champion of the division. So this is an intriguing fight, right? I think, Tisha's got more ways to win than Gomez. And I think, right, Denise is good. You know what I mean? She's a little friggin' tank, right? But we have seen her kind of run out of ideas, you know? Like in some fights, the game plan isn't working, but she doesn't know how to change things up on the fly, right? Which makes this intriguing. But I'm gonna have to go Tiny Tornado, right? It is very difficult to vote against Pennington, right? So we then, from the strawweight, right, we jump all the way to the freaking heavyweight. We have Josh Hotkit against Mac Gimmiz, right? But it is what it is, people. So Mac Gimenez, right? He is 32, 6 foot. We don't have a reach, right? He's 6-1 overall. He's got a 4-fight win streak, and this is his UFC debut. All right, so finally made it to the big stage, right? His last fight was March this year. He knocked out Diego Peclat in the first round. All right, so yes, he does like a knockout, right? It does look like he's competed in grappling. It looks like, I think it's his first discipline, right? And he's fought an array of people, right? Of grappling. He's been in there with them, right? So yeah, he can knock you out, but it looks like he might be a problem on the ground as well. All right, so and I think that's interesting because I don't think there's a heap of heavyweights who do have those skills, right? So he's going up against the incredible Huck, right? Joshua Hockett, right? You see what Josh did there? He's 27, 6'1", 73.5-inch reach. He's got a 6-0 overall record. He's on a 6-fight win streak coming out of Jackson Wink, right? So he's great camp, good training partners. He's also making his UFC debut. Won himself a contract on the Contender Series, right? Went 2-0 in Bellator, 3-0 in the LFA. So, yes, he won himself a contract this year in August, right? He stopped Guillermo Uriel in the second round with elbows. So, boom. Which is big, right? Before that, his last fight in the LFA was May this year. He stopped Eric Lunsford in the first round, right, with some ground and pound. He does have some subs, right? Arm triangles, arm bars, rear nakeds, right? So he does have those skills, but really a whole heap of experience. And although, right, MMA wise, they've had a similar number of fights, right? He's 6-0, and his opposition, right, Max, he's 6-1. But I think the big difference is, as I said, Max comes from a grappling background, right? So I think that leads us to taking Max. Now, both fighters are making their debuts. So it is, it's a well put together fight, right? And yeah, both making debuts, so they're both gonna be under that same level of pressure. So we then jump to our ladies. This time it's the bantamweights, right? We have Maria Bueno Silva against Jacqueline Cavalante, right? And yeah, intriguing fight, people, right? Which you gotta love. Now, the nightmare, Jacqueline Cavalcanti, I should say, 28, 5'8", 70-inch reach. She's got an overall record of 7-fight win streak. Woo! Nice, right? So she's 4-0 in the UFC, went 1-0 in the LFA. We last saw her in February, right? She beat Julia Avila, got a unanimous decision, right? She made a UFC debut against Zara Fran. That was September 2023. So in August 2024, she beat Josanne Nunes. Split decision, another split decision over Nora Cornell. That's September 20. Yeah, then that takes her to the Avila fight, right? So, nothing crazy in the UFC. A good few split decisions, but she's won belts outside, right? She won the LFA belt. She won the SCC belt, right? So she does have that experience, and also outside the UFC, she's does have a good few, finishes. Right now, obviously, you step up the competition, so she's not knocking people out, stopping, but she is getting the wins. And a lot of the girls she's fought have been in her same boat, right? They're up and comers, and she's been picking some of them girls off, right? Yeah. She's going up against Shitara, Mayra Bueno Silva, right? A former title challenger. She's 34, 5'6", 66.5-inch reach. Right? Shitara's got a record of 10-5-1 with one no contest. Right, so 5-5, one draw, one no contest in the UFC. Did come via the Contender Series. Right, so yeah, she won that contract in August 2018. Got a ninja choke over Mayana Souza. Made her debut, right, in September 2018. A sub on Gillian Robinson, which that is a huge one, especially when you look at what Robinson has been doing of late. Right? And yeah, her fighting frequency hasn't necessarily been there, but she was able to string together a a little run of fights, right, which did lead her to a title, right, shot. It was her against Raquel Pennington, and because she did have a win over Holly Holm, right? I think she got her in a choke, I think it was a ninja choke. That's been overturned. So I'm assuming there was a drug situation. Right, but that win got her the title shot. It was very lackluster. Her performance against Pennington was crazy lackluster, you know? And I think that's what we've seen from her of late, these real lackluster performances, you know? Which, yeah, I don't know what it is, right? Maybe she's got that there is a name for it, right? But it's that title fatigue. Because we see that after fighters have challenged for the belt or, won the belt and then lost it. It's a normal fight just doesn't seem to get them jazzed anymore, right? So they go through a period of funky performances until they can get things back on track, and maybe, right? Bono Silva, she's now back on track. Who knows, right? We will have to wait and see on Saturday night, but look, when she's putting it all together, she is tough, for sure. But she can be a slow starter. She can be a lethargic starter and fighter. I don't know what the mental block is for her. But I think when you factor in things, I've got to throw my hat with Jacqueline Cavalcanti. You know what I mean? So that's what we will be doing with that one. Right, so we then jump to our penultimate fight of the prelims. It's the bantamweight, right? Ricky Simone against Yanni Barcelos. Yeah, I butchered that. So Ronnie is 38, 5'7", 67-inch reach. Okay. Overall record of 20-5. He's currently on a 3-fight win streak, which is, definitely good for him. Right, in the UFC, he's 9 and... What is it? 9-4. Okay. So, last time out, he got a unanimous decision over Cody Garbrandt. Right? He got a unanimous decision over Peyton Talbot. Both really good performances, right? No finish, but really, really good performances right there. And he also has a win over Christian Corneres, right? Caught him in a rear naked choke. So he's tough, right? And he's fought some good opponents. Victor Henry, Umar Nurmagomedov, right? Trevin Jones, Kyler Phillips, right? And then, the prospect, Peyton Talbot, the former champ, Cody Garbrandt, right? All of them peoples he's been in there with. So, yeah, right? He's got good wins, but he then just has those falters, so it's a tough one, but Ron, he's been around, right? He's been around, he's fought a who's who. But can he get it done on Saturday? Goes up against a Ricky Simone, 33, 5'6", 69-inch reach. Right, he's coming off the back of 2 wins. Overall record of 26. Okay, Duque fighting out of American Top Team, so great camp. He's 10-5 in the UFC, went 2-0 in LFA, and came via the Contender Series. Yeah, another one where you're just like, oh. Well, I will say, he came via the Contender Series, right? But he didn't get a contract. You know, went back out, right? Went to LFA, won the belt, right? Defended the belt, you know? And those performances got him to the UFC, where he did get a very, very controversial win over the current champ, right? Marab. And yeah, he's been in there with a host of people, right? Ranier, Montel Jackson, Uriah Faber, Rob Font, you know, been in there with so many very talented individuals. But which way do we go? It's a tough one, right? It is definitely a tough one. I think he's faster than Ronnie. I think Ronnie's good, right? And we've seen that in his last few fights. But I think Ricky has probably got the better stand-up, right? Better movement, right? He's got a lot of different things going for him. So, yeah, in this one, gotta take Ricky Simone. So we finish off our prelims with the featherweights. Hydra Emil against Jamal Emmers. Ooh, this is a great friggin' fight, right? Pretty boy Jamal Emmers. He's 36, 5'10", 74. Right, he's got an overall record of 21-8, coming into this off of a win, right, which is good for the confidence. He's 4-4 in the UFC, went 3-0 in the LFA, went on the Contender, didn't get a contract, right, but last time out we saw him get the win over Gabriel Miranda. That was March this year. Right? Lost to Nate Landwehr. Right? Got stopped in the first. But, right? Before that, he beat Dennis Bazooka. Now, he did miss weight. Right? Did miss weight for that one. So there are some caveats sometimes with Emmers, you know. There are those, but he's had some very good fights, right? He's been in there with tough, right? Roster of fighters. Made his debut against Gida Kudazi, you know. Pat Sabatini, right? Nate Landwehr, Dennis Bazooka. He's fought some tough people. But again, his strength of schedule has been a bit weak, right? He's been out a lot. And fight when you're going up against the Hurricane Haider Emil, 35, 5'9", 70-inch reach. Overall record of 11-1. And that first defeat is what is coming to this fight. You know? And it was one of those things, right? Just walked onto a bloody hand. So he's 3-1 in the UFC, went 3-0 in Bellator, 3-0 in the LFA. Did win a contract on the Contender Series, right? That was August 2023. Right, so he then made his debut in February 2024, and ever since, ain't really looked back. Had some very good performances, but yeah, got stopped by Jose Delagio last time out. All right, Hyder Emil. All right, he is 5'6", 5'10". Sorry, I don't know what's wrong with you people. He's 36, 5'10", 74-inch reach. Wait, no. No. That's... Oh, yeah, so I've broken both down. Well, it's a great fight. It's a great fight. I think Emil has got the speed, right? I think he can put together some great combinations. And the thing with Emil is he's not just throwing 1-2s, right? He's throwing long, really well put together combinations. So Emil has definitely got the skills, right? So yeah, I think I'm taking Hydra Emil for the win, but it's a fun fight, people. It's definitely a fun fight, and I think it's the type of fight that you want to take to the main card. So let's see how these picks go. Right, we've had some up and downs in the last few weeks, but let's see what happens this week. People, that's the prelims.